Well, noswaith dda. Welcome back, I should say, to the NFL Cymru podcast. I feel like this is a relaunch, and I feel like I need to apologise because going back, the last episode that I think that I recorded or that I uploaded at least was before the first game of the season, the opening game between the Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens back in September feels like a long time ago. However, we're back. We're less than 2 weeks from the Super Bowl at the end of the season. A repeat of the 2023 Super Bowl, actually, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. And to my right, I believe, or to my left, depending which side you're looking at. This is the newest addition to the NFL Cymru podcast. Or I'd like to say, Guto, if you don't mind, you're our North Walian correspondent. How does that sound?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, so we've got the South Wales and North Wales
Yeah,
representatives
we
here. So
we
best of both worlds, I think.
I
Yeah,
mean, we've got to cover Wales, although,
exactly.
it's a small country.
Yeah,
But it's good to have, like I said, I'm going to be in the south, you're going to be in the north, covering
yeah,
everything.
that's good.
So yeah, everyone, croeso to Guto. Big welcome to the NFL Cymru
Thank you, thank
podcast.
you.
You're
Welcome,
gonna
everyone.
be you're gonna be our co-host going on. So this, like I said, this is going to be a relaunch, and hopefully we're going to be posting as often as we can, potentially
Yeah,
every single week, covering obviously the leader to the Super Bowl in less than 2 weeks, like I said, and then going on after Super Bowl recap, going into free agency, the draft, and so on and so forth. Because actually, I quite like the free agency time of the year. I find that really really exciting,
me
especially
too.
because
Yeah,
I have to. For those who have listened or watched to the NFL Cymru podcast before, my name is Dyfed, and I have to say, unfortunately, now it's coming up to 20 years since I've been a fan of the Miami Dolphins. And I have to say, unfortunately, because we are now holding the record as the franchise with the biggest drought since winning an NFL a playoff game. It's coming over 20 years. It used to
yeah,
be us and the Detroit Lions, but obviously Detroit have done very, very well under Dan Campbell over the last 2 years and potentially should have gone to the Super Bowl maybe last year, maybe this year, but they were beaten, and now we know that it's going to be between the Chiefs and the Eagles. First of all, Guitar, a big croeso to you, like I said.
thank you.
Give us give us kind of like a background of how you got involved in the NFL and kind of how long you've been following and which team do you support and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so funnily enough, you were saying, unfortunately, you're a Dolphins fan. I'm a Falcons fan for the
Ah,
last 10 years. And I believe the last 10 years of being a Falcons fan has been probably one of the worst. We've had that infamous, I should say, Super Bowl that I, every time I try to forget about it, it just keeps coming up in my memories
my
online
heart goes
and
out
everywhere.
to you.
So you just can't get away from it. Funnily enough, that was probably my first or second Super Bowl I watched as well because I started watching NFL around 2014, I believe, and because of my dad used to watch it back in the 70s and 80s, so that's how I got into it. And then 2014, I thought I'll pick a team and go from there. And it was Julio Jones that got me into the Falcons, really. So I've just been a fan of the Falcons since. And yeah, the last 10-ish years is not been pretty. We had a bit of hope this season. Kirk Cousins coming in, drafting another quarterback, which was a bit of a up and down thing at the time. But I think we've got a good future with Penix Jr. But however, it wasn't to be this season for I think all the wrong reasons as well. Looking at how everything ended up with Kirk Cousins, is it going to be the next season? Who knows? There's a lot of money being wasted. So, um, but I love the NFL. I've been to London a few times. I went to America last year. I've been to Atlanta to watch a game. I've also been to New Orleans. Great experiences. Um, so yeah, I'm a big massive fan of the NFL, just as you are. So
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. So
yeah,
just to pick up on a few things there, you were saying you were recently over in Atlanta and in New Orleans, where
that's
it's
correct. Yeah,
Superdome, where the Super Bowl will be held in less than 2 weeks.
yeah,
So I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask you, really, as a fan, um, which stadium was the, or what was the experience like in the Superdome in New Orleans to start off with?
Yeah, New Orleans, the city itself is just, to me, I say is magical because it's just full of life and it's one of the best experiences I've ever had. I've met some great people there as well. So, and we went to we went to a wedding. That's the reason why we went to New Orleans. So it was very special time for me and my dad. And we went to the Superdome, amazing stadium, amazing atmosphere. It was almost sold out as well.
Mm.
And unfortunately, when we went to Atlanta, great, obviously Atlanta, amazing place as well. I love both, but it was not a sellout in Atlanta as
Mm.
all. It was probably half the crowd that was in New Orleans,
Wow.
unfortunately. And obviously, the game I went to, we went to watch the Seahawks, and we lost against the Seahawks, so it wasn't pretty, but it was a great experience nonetheless.
Yeah.
I'd recommend anyone if they can to uh, go to the US to watch a game,
Yeah.
to watch your
100%.
favorite team. I believe you've been. I'm not sure if you've been to Miami or if you've had a chance to watch Miami.
It's one of the things that's on my bucket list, Guto,
Mm,
because me
yeah,
again, we share the same similar feelings with the NFL.
yeah.
My dad as well got me into the NFL. He's been a Chiefs fan. I just have
Mm.
to put it out there that he's not a Glory supporter, to be fair. He has been waiting for, well, he's been a Chiefs fan since the mid 80s, if not early 80s. So
Yeah.
he's gone through the slog of that 25, 30 years of pain,
Yeah.
disappointment, and now this is his time. So I'm gonna let him bask in this glory for a long time. And it's
As
we
painful as it is.
yeah, and we never knew. I mean, obviously, I never knew that it was going to turn into. Let's be honest, it's a Chiefs dynasty at the moment,
Yeah. Yeah.
because as long as Pat Mahomes and as long as Andy Reid is going to be there, even if Andy Reid leaves, even if Pat Mahomes is there, the Chiefs are still going to be the top goers in the AFC. Let's
Oh,
be honest.
100%. Yes.
Um,
100%.
I just want to ask you, when you watched the New Orleans the Saints play, who was the quarterback? Was it Derek Carr or was it Spencer Rattler?
It was Spencer Rattler. It was his
Okay.
actually first week as well
Right.
playing. So
Okay.
yeah, and they lost to the Buccaneers. That was a really entertaining game actually because
Mm.
the Saints were leading at halftime, and it was already like 40 points in the game. And then second half, it just went downhill for the Saints. Um, I was sitting next to one of my mates, and he left the game quite early, so it was just me and my dad
Okay.
in the end. So we were just grasping it. It's like this is unbelievable. We're here.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
But amazing stadium, and obviously with New Orleans, obviously it's been snowing the last couple of days, so
Yeah,
I wonder how it's going to be in the next few weeks with the Super Bowl coming up as well. So
I know. Wild. Like I said,
yeah,
it's going to see an NFL game in America is
yeah,
definitely on my bucket list. I've been very fortunate. Like I said, like you, I've been to Wembley to see a game, and
yeah,
last season, me and my dad went over to Frankfurt to see one of the international games, and even
well,
even over in
yeah,
Germany. Best sporting experience of my life, like you just said. And
mm,
I've been to many a football game, Wales football game. So have you, and maybe you've been
yeah,
to a rugby game. I've been to a Wales England game, which is the biggest rivalry that we can have, I
yeah.
think, in Europe potentially, and it doesn't even come close to an NFL game.
No, I
Something
don't think so. No,
Americans do, they just do entertainment very, very well. They know how to.
they do, they do.
And yeah, that's one experience that I will always keep with me. And
Yeah,
and we have to go because apparently Arrowhead Stadium has one of the best atmospheres in the NFL as well, and that's an
yeah,
open air theater
yeah,
as well, an amphitheater if you'd like. So there we are. So that's the background. So you're a Falcons fan, and I'm a Dolphins fan, and I think I can say this because I've been through the era of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, going back to that 2017 Super Bowl. The
yeah.
Patriots had no right winning that Super Bowl.
No,
They were being
no,
absolutely demolished by
yeah.
Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Who was your running back? What was Devontae Freeman, wasn't it?
At the time, yes,
Oh,
yeah.
you were. It was just a brilliant season, and well, look at where Dan Quinn is now. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, doing a really good job.
It
Yeah,
it
but
proves that he was a brilliant coach.
mm,
He's taken the Commanders, Washington Commanders, in his first season to the NFC Championship game. Okay, they lost heavily last week to the Eagles, and we will get back to that game very, very shortly because we're going to go back. We're going to go to the AFC first to cover the Chiefs against the Bills. Um, but yeah, clearly he's very, very talented coach. And I know that the Commanders have an extremely talented rookie at quarterback, Jaden Daniels, and we'll talk more about him very, very shortly.
yeah,
Anyway, shall we pop over to recap what happened in
yeah, let's go for it.
let's just say let's start with the AFC conference between the Chiefs and the Bills. Um, don't get me wrong, there was a part of me um as a Dolphins fan, again, I'm so sick of the Bills winning the AFC East. They've won for five seasons in a row, and
Mm,
unfortunately, whilst Josh Allen is going to be there, the Bills are going to be a problem.
yeah,
Because in a couple of days we might find out that he might be the MVP of the league as well.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
between him and Lamar Jackson.
Mm.
However, a lot of people have said that it could or it should be
Joe
Saquon
Burrow.
Barkley.
I'll say, well, if you're talking about the quarterback, I was thinking Joe Burrow, who was
Yeah,
in the
but
playoffs, but he had an unbelievable season.
let's be honest. Unfortunately,
Uh,
a running back is probably not going to win an MVP an
no,
MVP, are they?
but
You know,
Saquon Barkley, he's a special player. Obviously,
insane.
he is the danger man for the Chiefs to be against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
He is the danger man. He can change
Mm.
the game.
Yeah.
So it'll all come down to him, I think. And
Yeah.
also, fun fact, I'm not sure if you're aware, but
Yeah.
the Super Bowl will be on Saquon Barkley's birthday.
No
So
way.
yeah,
I did not
so
know that.
it could be either the best birthday or the worst birthday ever. So we'll see.
The writing is in the stars, as they say. So let's go back to the Chiefs Bills game. So the Chiefs
Yeah.
winning in the end, 32-29, I believe.
Mm.
So they managed to stop the Bills with around 2.5 minutes to go on fourth down. And what do you make of these missed calls from the refs? This has been one of the main talking points coming out of
It's
this
been a
game, I
talking
believe.
point. It has been a talking point. Yeah. A lot of saying that the refs are on the Chiefs' side. They're desperate for them to do the 3P.
Yeah.
You have to admit there has been some calls throughout the season
Mm.
that it could have gone the other way for the other players. I remember there was week 3, I believe, when they played the Falcons, and there was a roughing the passer call
Yeah.
for us, but it didn't go. If it was the other way around for the Chiefs, they would have gotten it 100%. But that's just my opinion. That's just me being
Yeah. Yeah.
biased
Yeah.
Falcons fan.
Yeah.
But there has been. I don't want it to be like a negative thing because
Yeah.
obviously we're watching a brilliant team for the last 5, 6 years. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Patrick Mahomes, but there has been some questionable decisions from the referees throughout the season, and
Mm.
hopefully we'll have a fair Super Bowl. Like I
Yeah.
was talking to my dad about on the way here, as long as the Eagles are just, they stay calm, they don't do anything silly, we could
Mm.
have an even game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because let's be honest, it was a very, very even game. The last time they played in the Super Bowl
yeah,
2 years ago, a really high scoring game. The Chiefs
yeah,
winning 38-35, if I remember correctly, in the
yeah,
end.
yeah. It was just
Um,
back and forth, wasn't it? Like
yeah,
literally
incredible.
touchdown after
I know.
score after score. It was
Yeah.
it has to remember being a crazy game.
And unfortunately, following a Mahomes 20-yard scramble, there was another call, a dodgy call from the refs. I think it was a holding call on one of the
Mm,
cornerbacks. It might have been Darius Slay actually
mm,
that gave the Chiefs the first down, which subsequently Mahomes got a 20-yard scramble and they scored and they got a field goal to win 38-35 in the end,
yeah,
which left the Eagles having to do a Hail Mary and it fell well short.
yeah.
So, like you said, there have been some questionable calls against the Chiefs. There was a big fourth down in the game where it appeared, it depends which type of angle that you were looking at, that um, Josh Allen got the first down, and that would have kind of
Yes.
changed everything. The Bills would have either potentially kicked a field goal to draw level, or they could have gone for the touchdown to kind of go in the lead with less than 2 minutes to go. And you probably would have put money on Mahomes and the Chiefs to at least come back and score some points, but you never know. You know, the pressure was obviously on them, and there was another questionable call. Again on that fourth down when Josh Allen threw and it actually it was somehow he got that ball away where Spags just kind of like all out blitz towards him. He had two or three cornerbacks in his face, backpedaling through
Yeah.
that ball towards the tight end Kincaid. A lot of people are giving him a lot of grief that he should have caught it in that moment, but obviously high stakes game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately, it wasn't meant to be, and ultimately you can't make those mistakes against the Chiefs because clearly
No.
they're going to
No.
punish you. They ran the ball, they got two first downs, they ran out the clock, and that was it. And
That was it. Yeah.
unfortunately, for the Bills, um, they turned the ball over too many times. They were too sloppy. I've heard a lot of people saying that the play calling, apparently, from Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, got a little bit conservative towards the end. I think the narrative is if you're going to beat the Chiefs, especially in their house in Arrowhead, you're going to have to be extremely what's the word? You're going to have to be very, very aggressive,
Yeah.
especially on
Yeah.
fourth down. And they got a little bit away from their game plan that has got them so much success during the season. That's what I thought anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, you have to be very careful and also very aggressive when you beat the Chiefs, especially in the playoffs. Like
Yeah,
the stat shows, there's only two quarterbacks that has beaten um, Patrick Mahomes during the playoffs, and that's Tom Brady
yeah,
and Joe Burrow.
I know.
So it shows, and especially at Arrowhead as well. It's a difficult place. It's a
Yeah.
noisy place to go. Not not it's a difficult place. So
One of the best home field advantages in the whole of
exactly,
the NFL is
yeah,
is Arrowhead because
yeah,
you've got that extra. The crowd is the extra person. Let's be
mm,
honest.
yeah,
And like you said, the refs might give the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt because some people are out there. There's so many conspiracy theories. Like the NFL apparently needs a dynasty, so they need a league. So the more if they have a dynasty, so they have more they have more revenue. They have
right,
more
okay,
cash and
yeah,
things which makes sense. I get that. It happened during the early 2000s with the Patriots with Belichick and Brady. So I guess the Chiefs are going to be
mm,
this decade's version of the Patriots that have just been
possibly, yeah,
Super you
exactly,
know.
yeah, possibly, yeah,
And
yeah,
whilst the Chiefs are successful, the NFL is going to be growing.
mm,
Because I guess they're picturing or they're painting at least Patrick Mahomes as potentially up there with Tom Brady as the best quarterback ever to play the
yeah.
game. And I personally, since I've seen him, and I've seen enough of Tom Brady over the last 20 years, for me, I've never seen a better quarterback than Mahomes.
I agree.
He's
I
got
agree.
everything.
He will be one of the greatest of all time, and he's got at least another more than 10 years left in him.
That's what's
So,
scary. He's got three rings. He's
yeah,
been to four Super Bowls. He's about to go to his fifth, and he's how old is he? 27?
he's 20. He's younger than me. So
Wild.
I look at some of his
Way way
quarterbacks.
younger than me then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he's got a lot left in him, and
yeah.
it's going to be a while until somebody
Mm.
at least stops him.
And
Um,
I
I
think
think,
I think the impressing thing as well with the Chiefs, looking back over the last 5 years, um, only maybe the first two seasons that they got to the Super Bowl that they had a really powerful offense, a really flashy offense, when they
yeah,
used to have the likes of Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill before he left to come to the Dolphins.
yeah,
Um, Kelsey is always going to be Kelsey, especially when the playoffs come.
yeah. He's a different player when it comes to the playoffs.
Oh, he clearly he's so
Yeah,
clutch, isn't he? Let's be
yeah,
honest. He hasn't had the best regular season over the last two seasons, let's be honest. But like you said, he comes alive in the
mm,
playoffs.
yeah.
He had over 100 yards against the Bills. And you know, let's be honest, they've reached the Super Bowls. Um, and using kind of different ways. Maybe
Yeah,
last year when they definitely used their defense. Their defense kind of won that Super Bowl last
yeah,
year
yeah.
against the Niners.
And I
Uh,
keep going back to the game against the Ravens as well
mm,
in the AFC Championship game, and there was a one drive
yeah,
where the Ravens, in any other game, it would have been a touchdown, but I don't remember the name of the defender, but when he knocked the ball out of the hand
yeah,
on just before he reached the touchdown line,
yeah.
you know, that's just, it shows that he has skill in
If I
defense. So
remember rightly, I think that was Legarius Sneed, who
possibly so.
who
Yeah, that's it.
left, who left,
Yeah.
who now stupidly has gone to the Titans. Clearly, he's after the money, but there we are. That's something else. Yeah. So, and like I said, they lost. We have to remember as well, the Chiefs lost their best receiver, Rashee Rice, at the
Mhm.
beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So they were without him. They've got one of the best tight ends in the league as Travis Kelce, and then they've got other pieces, like
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown.
Mm.
DeAndre Hopkins, Isaiah Pacheco is back in the game. Kareem Hunt, a blast from the past as well, from
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago. He somehow, do you know what? Andy Reid has just built an offense where you can just pick even not the best players in the NFL, and somehow he makes them better players, and they just fit into that offense. And whoever it is, and what like we saw on Sunday the play that won them the game ultimately that got the last first down, a pass to a running back called Samar GP Ryan. He's been not an unknown figure really in the
Mhm.
NFL. No offense
Yeah.
to him. Um, Frankly, he came from the Bengals a couple of years ago, and I think he was a part of their team that got to the Super Bowl actually a couple of years ago and
That's
lost to the
also, yeah.
Rams.
Yeah.
But, an unheard of name, just like got that first down. Like I said before, their mentality is just so clutch when it comes to getting that first time in order to win that game in high stakes circumstances as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do it every year.
Yeah,
So it's it's not going to stop anytime soon. I don't believe
exactly.
it's gonna, even if they don't win the Super Bowl, they'll still
Mm,
be in that picture.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's going to last for a
absolutely.
very
So
long time.
like you said, the
Um,
the AFC is completely stacked because
yeah,
you've
it
got
is.
the Chiefs, you've got the Ravens, you've got the Bengals. The Chargers are going to be an up and coming team
Yeah.
potentially
The
over the next couple of
Texans,
years.
I'm a big fan of watching the Texans
Yeah,
play. They're a very
yeah,
young team.
yeah.
Um, they weren't as good as they were last season, I believe.
No,
They still made the
no.
playoffs just about, but
Yeah,
they're an exciting team to watch,
yeah.
100%.
Sweet. So there we are. So the Chiefs, once again, are back-to-back AFC Championship winners.
Yeah.
And a stat that I found out today, actually, the Chiefs or the 2025 Chiefs are the first team to ever reach a Super Bowl after doing the double. So no
Oh, okay.
team
Yeah.
has ever reached a Super Bowl after winning back-to-back Super Bowls.
All right, okay.
So they've
So,
already created history, and like you said
yeah,
before, they're going for the three-peat again. They'll be the first team in NFL history to win
to do
three
so.
Super Bowls
Yeah.
in a row. And do you know what? I really hope they do it because I'd love to be a part of history. I'd love to be able to watch something as historic
Yeah.
as that.
I I love Patrick Mahomes. He's
Yeah,
a great quarterback. So a part of me hope they do it.
yeah,
But obviously, as long as there's no dodgy decisions from the
yeah,
refs or anything, as long as it's a clean game,
yeah,
you know, that's what I'm hoping for.
mm,
Just a good, entertaining game
yeah, yeah.
back and
No
forth,
doubt.
like we had in the two Super Bowls ago with the two
Exactly.
same teams. So
Yeah. Well,
I
there we
just
are.
hope it's the same thing.
Let's cross to the NFC.
Yeah.
I managed to watch a good chunk of this game live actually between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. Well, let's be honest, the Washington Commanders have been the surprise of the NFL this year.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Um, I was so surprised a week ago when I woke up in the morning because I didn't watch it live,
Yeah.
and it was Washington the winning over the Detroit Lions. To
Yeah.
me, that's the shock of the season. To me,
Hmm.
I don't think there's ever been a team that's been destined to be in the playoffs more than the Detroit
I
Lions,
know.
and
I
they
know.
lose the first game
I
in the
know.
playoffs. It's
Yeah.
to me, it's crazy. But
Yeah,
hats off to Washington. I mean, Jaden Daniels, they've got a quarterback of he could be one of the best ones in the future,
yeah,
definitely.
agree.
He's very young. He's got all the talent. The Washington reminds me of a little bit of the Texans last season when they just
Mhm.
came from, the top two picks
Yeah,
to making the playoffs.
yeah.
I think Washington are a slightly better team in terms of with the quarterback, but
Mm.
no, unbelievable,
Yeah,
unbelievable. And I
yeah.
just want to point out as well the highlight for me on that game on Sunday against the Eagles was Frankie Louvet with the two leaps in
I
the fourth
know.
quarter. I
Yeah.
remember watching that and I was like, "What are you doing?" And then he did
Uh,
it again.
on the was that on the four on the
I
when they
believe.
were on the 1 yard line?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you see the line getting closer and closer.
yeah.
There's no point in
I
trying on stuff,
know,
but
I know.
that's the highlight.
Yeah, you're
So
not. You Let's be honest. You're not gonna come up against. You're not gonna come out winners against the whatever you want to call it, the tush push, the brotherly shove, whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
It's just
no.
it's just something that unfortunately you just can't defend on,
No.
especially
You
if you're
might
on
as
the
well
one
just
yard line.
you might as well make yourself a star looking like
Exactly,
an idiot. Exactly.
exactly. Yeah. Do you know what? Going back to Washington, like I said, I think you have to look at what Dan Quinn has done in his first season.
Yeah,
Cliff Kingsbury as well, coming back into the NFL as an offensive coordinator after being in the college game for a couple of years. He was head coach of the Arizona Cardinals when they went. Gosh, they were at one point, I think they were 10-0, and then they had a
mm,
massive collapse towards the end of the season a couple of years ago. So he's been out of the NFL. He's back. He's got, like you said, he's got a massive talent in Jaden Daniels. He's going to
yeah,
be a problem in the NFC for a long, 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 long time.
yeah. Yes,
And
yes,
going back to last season, although the Dolphins um, absolutely destroyed the Commanders in Washington last season. We put 45 points on them, but you could see the remnants of a really, really good squad.
yeah.
I think Terry McLaurin is a brilliant wide receiver, and if he had, and it shows if you've got a decent quarterback. Luckily, Washington have one of the best rookies that we've seen in a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
If you're a talented wide receiver, you're gonna be a star in the league because he has had an unbelievable season. Um, another switching over to the defense then. What an addition Bobby Wagner has been for them as well, because Bobby Wagner is
He's made a difference.
well into his mid-30s and he's still playing at such a high level, isn't he?
Yeah, he's made a difference to that defense. Absolutely. Yeah.
100%. So, the Eagles winning comfortably the end. They won. They
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 did.
scored, they scored
Yeah,
over 50 points in the end,
they
which
did. Yeah.
which shocked me a little bit because I wasn't sure how fit Jalen Hurts was going to be because
Mm.
it appeared that he was badly injured in the previous game against the Rams last
Yeah.
week, but clearly, like you said before at the beginning of the pod, Saquon Barkley, that offensive line, probably top three offensive line in the league. You've
Yeah.
got the number one running back in the league, who did he get over 2,000 yards in the end in the regular season? I
He
think
just made it over
he did.
2,000. Yeah, he
Yes,
did.
he
He
did.
did. Yeah.
So, that's an unprecedented season for him.
It is. And to
And
me,
like I said, I know the Chiefs, and I know the Chiefs have a very, very talented defensive line with Chris Jones. And but that running game, if they get it going in the Super Bowl,
it's going to be a problem.
ultimately that might be the difference.
He will. I believe he will be a problem for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
He's had an unbelievable season. We
yeah,
knew how good he was even when
yeah,
he was with the Giants.
yeah,
Everybody knew how good he was,
yeah,
but you know, the Eagles. They kind of went downhill halfway through last season, didn't they?
yeah. They did. Yeah,
Yeah, they
they
started off
fell off a
undefeated,
cliff, didn't they?
yeah, so they needed that little bit of spark.
Yeah.
And Saquon Barkley, he's the whole package.
Good for him though, as in brave move and
Yeah,
into
100%.
conference
Yeah,
move, going from the
yeah,
Giants to the Eagles
yeah,
because they hate each other, you
yeah.
know. So that's a brave move, and clearly,
Mhm.
like I said, with the talent that he's got, he's pulled it off. Um, we've got less than 5 minutes here, Guto, because I just want to cover a little bit on the Eagle side, and then we'll talk about Louis Rees-Zammit before we end with our
Cool.
Super Bowl
Yeah,
predictions. Um, So the Eagles, like I said, they've got a fantastic run game. They've got a brilliant defense under Vic Fangio, who used to be with the Dolphins last season. And they've got two talented wide receivers, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put your head on the block here. Who ultimately do you think the Chiefs are going to win the three-peat, or do you think the Eagles are going to spoil the party?
Oh, I don't know. I've not had enough time to think. I might need another 5 minutes
That's
actually.
fine. We're gonna. Do you know what? We might come back and we'll do a pre-Super Bowl, a
Yeah.
pre-Super
Yeah.
Bowl pod because this was
Okay.
only
Yeah.
this. Let's. Do you know what? We'll do if you do a prediction now, and we'll do a prediction next week to see if your mind has changed.
Okay. I'm gonna say Chiefs for
Okay.
now.
Cool.
Just
Me
just
too.
for just for the history, just for the
Yeah.
three.
Me too. Just to see them win. I like to see,
Um,
like you said. I
my
just want to
mates,
see them win.
they're Eagles fan. They're not gonna like my answer, but that's my answer because they're Eagles
Bring
fans.
it.
So
Eagles fans, bring it. Anyway, fantastic. So, one of the main reasons that I started the NFL Cymru podcast was to follow Louis Rees-Zammit's journey to the NFL.
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So just to finish, really, we heard a couple of weeks ago that he's signed another practice squad
Hmm.
contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have a new head coach, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. He's I haven't written the name down, but he's
Lee
former
Cohen.
OC for that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's an OC from Buccaneers.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, and obviously the reason I started my Twitter was because to follow Louis Rees-Zammit as well.
yeah,
So obviously I was a massive fan with him joining the NFL. So
yeah,
um, this first season's been up and down, joining the Chiefs, and then
yeah.
when didn't work out for him, practice squad. I think that's the best contract for him. I think
Mm,
he's got the athleticism, he's got the speed. We've seen a couple of clips of him catching the ball.
yeah,
He just needs a little bit more time, I
yeah.
think. Maybe if we give him a couple of plays in preseason, we'll
Exactly.
see how it goes. But it's I'm glad that he's still there.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
definitely glad that he's still there. And I think a, a lot can happen this year, definitely,
Well,
with the
I
new
think
coach.
I think the fact that they've given him another contract, another practice squad contract, means that A, they believe in him, and B, they think they can develop him as well.
Yeah.
Even with a new head coach coming in, this might be the best thing for him. This could be a clean slate, and he's gonna probably gonna look at his roster and he's gonna say, show me what you can do. And like you said,
Yeah.
in preseason or in training camp, hopefully he'll have enough reps to have an opportunity in the preseason games to ultimately get a chance to get on the 53. I'll be surprised if he gets on a 53-man squad, but you never know because
You never know.
ultimately, watching him as a running back,
Didn't work.
something didn't fit, like you said,
No,
his
no.
athleticism, and now he's transferred to wide receiver. I think he's in the best
That's
spot.
his best position,
Yeah,
100%, 100%. And quickly, the Jaguars, they will be rebuilding,
yeah,
so they'll be looking at everyone and
yeah,
anyone to try and strengthen the squad. So
yeah,
even if he makes the 53 or
yeah,
not, or stays in practice squad,
yeah,
all the best to him. I hope he does really well, and
exactly.
I'm looking forward to following him next
Yeah.
season.
Definitely. Well, like I said, we'll definitely be following his progress over the summer.
Yeah,
Like I said, probably he'll have a new um, set of playbook to learn because there's a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator coming in. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Guto. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Like I said,
cool.
we'll be back before the Super Bowl for some predictions
Yeah,
and some for more info on the Chiefs and the Eagles as well. But for now, you've been listening to the NFL Cymru podcast. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi gyd.
diolch
We'll
yn
see you
fawr.
very shortly.